Okay, so we're going to get started here. We're going to start on my handy dandy little whiteboard keyboard that has some staff notation on the top. Later on we'll get onto a real piano, but for now this is a great way to start so we can really label everything that's going on. So we're going to start from the very basics. If you've ever messed around on a piano or on a keyboard before, you might know this, but just in case you don't, here we go. So as you move this direction on the keyboard, you would be getting higher in pitch, okay? Higher to the right, lower to the left. Why this is important? You have to start sort of mapping out in your mind that higher pitch means to the right, or in your eyes on the staff up here, higher pitch means up this direction. Okay, so one way that I've showed my piano students before, if they're having trouble with notation here, is that I've actually taken this notation or whatever piano book you're reading it out, and we turn it 90 degrees this way, and you can start to see notes this way are higher, notes this way are lower, and then we rotate it back this direction. So just for notation's sake, remind yourself that to the right also means up on the page. Okay, so we're also going to be working through sort of the structure of the keyboard and starting to label a little bit of what the keyboard looks like versus what it looks like on the staff. So if you want, there's on the next slide in our Google Slides this week, there is a link to something really similar to this that you can print out for free that has both the keyboard and the staff paper on it, although I think the version that's in that document is actually flip-flopped, so it has the keyboard on top and the staff on the bottom. Either way though, if you have an ability to download and print, that might actually be worth it for you. If not, you can totally do whatever works for you, whether you want to draw something like this or simply just watch and try it out on your piano, keyboard, or virtual piano. So here we go. I'd like to start by looking at the black notes, right? Because if you don't have the black notes, if you just had a bunch of white nondescript keys, you would never know which pitch is which. So you're going to notice it starts in a pattern. You have groups of 2 and you have groups of 3. Now clearly this isn't a full keyboard. There's more than that. There's 88 total keys on a piano, but we've got just a short section of it here. So we have groups of 2, groups of 3, and they go every other one, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. Right? You'll also notice that there's actually 2 white notes in between each group, right? If you look across the top of the keyboard, you can see it. It's not just black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white all the way up. You have black, white, black, white, white, black, white, black, white. So it's a little easier to see that pattern across the top of your keyboard than down here, which is where we tend to look. Okay, so when you know where those black notes are, then you can start labeling the letter names of your keys. Now, if you're not super familiar with your pitch names on the staff, I recommend you look at our Music Fundamentals video where that's described in detail. So you might want to go back and look at that, or contact me via email and I can send you a link if that's easier. So we're going to assume you know your note names up here. Okay, we're going to see what it looks like on the keyboard. So one thing that I often do is start with the group of 2 black notes. Group of 2 black notes, because that's easy to find. The one right in the middle, right here, is going to be D. For my younger students, I used to say D is for doggy with the 2 black ears. Like this is its little face and these are its black ears. Whatever works for you to remember that. Now, since we're going up this direction, which as we know is higher, that means we're going up in the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Right, so if this is D, this next one would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, etc. Okay, now you can do it that way. You can remember one and just kind of keep going from there and just fill in your alphabet. But you're going to want to eventually be able to recognize which note is where based on where it lands in that group of 2 to 3 black notes. So you'll always remember where D is. It's right in between the 2 black notes. And if you remember always, to the right of the 2 black notes is E, you can do that on any one of those groups of 2 black notes. Here's one that's not been labeled. So you've got your 2 black notes on the right hand side. That one's always going to be E. And I'll show you how to practice that on the real piano later. Okay, but start figuring out where they are in relationship to each other. We know this one's D. We already did that one. So we can also go backwards through the alphabet this direction to figure out what those letter names are, right? So A, B, C, D, E. Here's your C. Before C in the alphabet is B, A, G, F, E, D, C. So now that it's all filled in, you can kind of see that every single like letter, the matching letters land in the same place among the black notes. F is always to the left of a group of 3, right? Or B is always to the right of a group of 3. And those are for singers in choir context, that would be like, and that would be an octave apart. So that would be like reading, say, do to do, or do to do, do moves around, right? That's why we have do on the bottom of the scale and do on the top of the scale, because it's the same pitch, just an octave up. It'll be easier to hear when you're actually on the keyboard. Okay, so those are the pitches that match with your grand staff. So here's our grand staff. We got our treble clef, we got our bass clef. Let's pretend, because this isn't a full keyboard, we don't know for sure, but let's just pretend that this right here is middle C. Middle C. And we're gonna pop it up here. There it is. And because my marker is kind of fat, it's floating almost exactly in the middle here, which is fine. Oftentimes it's, if it was written in treble clef, it'll be hovering a little closer to treble clef, or if it was written in bass clef, it'd be hovering a little closer to bass clef, but in the middle is fine for us right now. And if you can on your diagram, if you're following along using that, just kind of start connecting the note to the pitch on the keyboard, okay? And just kind of making a reference for yourself. So after C, we have D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We'll just go that far. Okay, and they would add together like this. Okay, so that's a pretty good set on the treble clef. Of course, we could keep going, but this is just kind of a place to start. And starting on that middle C, we could also be in the bass clef. So we're going to go downwards, C, B, A, G, etc. So here's our B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Almost ran out of room there. We got B. So there we have it, sort of a complete 2-octave range, pretty decent starting point for new piano players. Kind of shows where the note is on the keyboard and what it would look like up on the staff. Feel free to make something like this for yourself if you have means to do that. And there's no shame in keeping this up on the keyboard or something similar to this while you're playing or practicing.